on this computer. Hey, welcome to the Love What You Do show. And today I've got someone I met on my RV journey, and she got to do my hair while I was out there, all of it, or what's left of it. And her name's Tonia Craig, and she's one of the happiest hairstylists ever met. And when I was thinking about guests on the show, I wanted to bring on someone. I really haven't heard an interview with a hairstylist on like they love what they do. And so I was like, you know what? Let's bring on Tonia and have her share, her life and journey. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And Tanya's never been on an interview before. She's never been interviewed.
No.
So I'm gonna poke and prod at you and make you feel uncomfortable and awesome all at the same time.
Combination, I guess.
so the people who listen or watch this, they're interested in doing what they love and not letting fear hold them back, and really caring about what they get to be and who they get to be in life, and be in service of other people. How did you become a hairstylist? Not like the logistics of it, but what was your path? Like, how did you start to figure that out for yourself?
It's funny because basically before I even remember, having a conscious thought that I want to do this, my mother told me that when I was about 4 years old, I asked her if nuns got their hair done, because I was going to be a nun and a hairdresser at 4. So it's funny because I think I'm sort of an oddball in that I knew what I wanted to do from an early age. I had fun playing with my dolls. My mom would let me do her hair. My little brother back in the 80s would be like, "Can you feather my hair before school?" And I'm like, so I never had any doubt about what I wanted to do. And the funny thing is, if you factor in fear, I didn't have any fear, because when you're young, you don't really think about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I can do anything. And so even though it wasn't my parents' first choice for a career path for me, I wanted to do it. And so I started beauty school about 2 weeks after I graduated from high school. I finished, I got my license, and that's it. I've never one time have been unhappy with my choice to do what I do. So really lucky that way.
Where do you think the alignment comes in? Or maybe another way to ask it is like, what is it that you get the joy of, like when you're,
Well, that's a good question, because from the time I started until only about 2 years ago, honestly, I was really selfish in that this is what I want to do. People will pay me to do it, and I love it. Okay, that's great. But a couple years ago, I had a haircut personally, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so good. I feel so much better. And then I had that light bulb moment. I was like, I make other people feel this way. So it's, even though I'm enjoying it, they're really getting something out of it, because just to be able to sit in the chair and relax and be comfortable talking to, hopefully talking to the person that's doing your hair, it just feels good. And so it doesn't have anything to do with the actual haircut. It's how it makes you feel mentally. And I didn't realize I had that effect on anybody. And just, I've been doing hair for like 29 years. So I'm like, oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
So
how did, so when did you actually, go into the nunnery or the seminary?
That I don't even know where I got that far.
So there's still hope, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm still alive. So stranger things have happened. So
I have a picture of you taking your bus. For people listening, Tonia lives, she loves to travel, right?
Yes.
And she recently just moved into your own school bus, right? That you've converted into your home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's about 87 square feet. And it's, yeah, it's just me. But I had lived in a van prior to the bus. And before that, I had been in an apartment by myself for about a year because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I took several trips and then just decided I have to go. I have to travel more. So fortunately I had sold my house and my children were already grown up. So it was a lot easier for me than, you know, I know kids, or I know people do travel with their kids in schooling and it's great, but I don't know that I would have been able to do that myself. So
To each their
but
own.
yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
do know a guy. He's got, I think, 7 people in the RV.
Oh wow.
Him and his wife, and I think 5 kids.
Kids, yeah.
He may have 7 kids. I can't remember. I stopped counting because
Oh my goodness.
I got too scared for him. But they love it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not a schoolie. I mean, it's a big old rig.
Mhm.
But you know, there is that sense of like once you really discover what you care about, um,
Mhm.
like what you live in is just is not who you are, right? Like
Right.
it's not. So you're like, well, you know, I get to cut hair and I only need 87 square feet. I'm happy,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that gives you the sense. I mean, you can go anywhere in the country and cut hair if you really want. You've got to get a license in each city, but
Right. Right.
you know,
Right.
it gives
But
you
it's fairly
the
easy. So yeah. Arizona, I had to take a class, a single class. There was no test. I just had to show up. And as far as Washington goes, I think Indiana has reciprocity, so all I have to do is pay money for the license, and I'm good to go.
yeah,
So
it's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so you mentioned something about your parents wanting you to do something different, right?
Yeah.
What were they kind of edging you towards?
My dad was really pushing me to be a computer programmer because
Really?
yeah, I know, isn't that funny? I did like, uh, you know, because when I was in school, it was computer class. You took a class to learn about computers. It wasn't a given that everybody had one and knew how
I
to
took
use
them
them.
all. I'm a nerd.
Yeah. And so I really enjoyed it, and it was actually one of the hardest classes as far as I was challenged and I did put forth effort, so I ended up getting good grades in that. But it just, you know, it wasn't what I really wanted to do. I mean, I might have done it and I might have made a really good living for myself, but I think what I've gotten in exchange for house, car, which, you know, which I had, but all that kind of stuff, I don't think it's equal to what I get from doing hair. And now ultimately realizing, hey, it makes people feel good. So that's, you know.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it's, you know, I've learned this, like there's this uh, circle of like reciprocity or like you give first and then you get from it. It's like
Yeah.
the best way to be selfish. Like you get to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
of service to other people and then you get the feeling of like, oh yeah, I
Yes.
did that.
Yes. Well, you know, there is something to that. I had some issues a long time ago, and you know, my mom was trying to keep me busy, and so we decided we were going to cook and take some food to a neighbor who was elderly and wasn't able to take care of herself as far as that goes. And I was like, wow, this feels good. And so I try to make it a point to, if I'm starting to feel a little crummy, I'll try to help somebody because yeah, it is selfish, but at the same time, you know, you're helping somebody else. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so it just didn't feel good when you're doing programming. And did you guys have a big blowout fight when you were trying to navigate your path, or was it just
No,
like,
not really. It was pretty calm. And I think part of it was because I had said that I wanted to do that for so long
mhm,
that I think they suggested the different career path, but they didn't really think I was going to take it, which is true. I didn't, you know.
yeah.
Um, so
Why do you think he suggested computers?
because he could see I kind of had a knack for it at the time.
Ah,
Everything's evolved so much that I'm just like, as an adult, I've only had a computer like twice, I think.
yeah,
So I'm just like, it's not anything I'm worried about or whatever. So
yeah. It wasn't a natural.
yeah,
It just seems like you're really at ease about what you do. Like it's not a struggle.
yeah, no, it's not. And you know, the funny thing is, I did struggle a little bit in the beginning,
Hmm.
but part of it, and I guess maybe this is part of the reason why the whole computer thing might have seemed like it worked for me because had been kind of socially awkward and I had a hard time talking to people. And now it's no big deal. I mean, I'll talk to people. I think of it as, my job helped me overcome I can't talk to people or whatever, because honestly, you can
Mhm.
find something to talk about with just about everybody.
Yeah,
So,
and it makes it
so
pretty
yeah.
easy. Yeah, it's kind of awkward if you don't have a conversation with your the person cutting your hair, right?
Yeah.
You just sit
Well,
there and
but if you've been cutting their hair long enough, sometimes you realize, hey, it's not about you. They're just like, they want to relax, they want to reflect, they don't. And it's, you take I guess you learn how to take cues from people.
yeah.
And so yeah.
Um, so what? Yeah, some of the other questions too. I'm thinking of someone that um, they're still struggling with deciding they want to do it, and maybe maybe speak to the person who may not have had. It sounds like your parents um, knew your path too, and
Yeah.
were they? And it sounds like they were encouraging, right?
They were very encouraging. They paid for me to go to school, and insisted that I not work so I could focus on what I was doing when I did it. So
Yeah,
that was really good. And my dad, sometimes I'll give him a haircut and he's like, how much do I owe you? I'm like, Dad, you paid for me to go to beauty school. We're good. Like, I can do this because of you. So, you
yeah,
should reap the benefits.
yeah. Just pay me in dinner, okay?
Yeah.
That'll be your tip.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I'm just kind of like that person who's on the edge, and they're thinking to themselves like, I really want to, but my parents say I should go get a 4-year degree and become blah blah blah, and I really don't
Mhm.
want to do that. But it's
Mhm.
hard to stand up and speak up for yourself sometimes if you don't. I know some people have that, I definitely have, where
Right.
it's you don't want to disappoint your parents, or you don't want to
Right.
disappoint the
Mhm.
people that you care about, and you think that they know better than you, but like your heart's telling you something, and like there's a call in there, a purpose, and
Mhm.
it's in the face of, I'm going to disappoint others, what are they going to think about me, and all this stuff. If you were in that position, what would you share with someone that's kind of like, on that fence?
Um, I mean, I maybe seek out people who are supportive of you, because, you don't always know who's going to have your back. You don't always know who's going to, I mean, you assume it's your family, but sometimes their judgment can be clouded and other people can see things in you that you can't,
Yeah.
people that are close to you can't see. And so if you have a good support system, no matter whether it's your parents or your cousins or your next door neighbor or church, members, or your D&D group, whatever, to talk to people that are supportive, because there's enough negativity in the world. You don't need to, and sometimes the negativity can come from your family. So, but I mean, yeah, I'm fortunate. And, you know, it was kind of like my whole life, that's what I wanted. And as soon as I finished beauty school, I was like, the rest of my life is icing on the cake. I've achieved my life goal. I'm good now. So everything that I've gotten, or I've achieved or whatever in life, has been okay. I'm that much luckier because I had this first thing that I always wanted, and then it just kept getting better.
Pretty
So
cool.
yeah, I don't know if I actually answered your question or
No,
not.
I think it's yeah, well, I mean, you answered it the best way. I was going to share, I can share something similar of like, um, sometimes the people who love you don't really know what you really want because you may have been scared to share it,
Hmm. Yeah.
or how passionate about something that you really are.
Hmm.
And they really just want the best for you. And sometimes their view of the best comes from a good place, but it's not your best, right?
Right.
You
Right.
know, and yeah, so I think seeking out other people who've walked the path where you potentially want to go is incredible advice. Like find, find someone who I think this is really important. Find someone who's happy doing it,
Hmm.
not someone who's successful. I mean,
Hmm.
I think it's a blend of that, right? Um,
Right.
but ultimately, what I define success is, are you at peace and happy with what you're doing? You know,
Mhm.
you might have some struggles, right? But it's
Mhm.
not um, just seeking out the one who gets paid the most is where I'm kind of
Right.
leading from. Like
Right.
that's not, because they might be miserable on the inside. You know,
Right.
they
Yeah.
might be good at it, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
you know,
that's one thing that I've been happy with my daughter. When she was a kid, oh, she liked babies. She got older. I'm going to babysit. She got a little older. I think I want to be a pediatrician. And then she kind of was like, well, maybe I'll just work with kids some other way. And maybe I'll be a preschool teacher. And I'm thinking, oh, please don't do that. Because, it's not, I'm thinking in terms of monetary,
yeah,
gains. Like, yeah, you're not going to make any money being a preschool teacher. But the way it worked out, she has a job working with kids that have autism.
mm,
And she, her, she had a child that she works with not that long ago do something independently, which I guess that's what their goal is. They're striving to get these kids to be able to do certain things on their own. And she said she cried when the kid did what he was supposed to do.
yeah, it's pretty
And I was like,
cool.
that makes me feel so good that she's doing something she loves and she's helping out. So even though it's not the same as what I'm doing, it is similar because she's doing what she loves and she's helping someone else. So yeah, and she has room to grow in that field, in that profession. So
Yeah, and
feeling proud.
I know someone who's a friend of mine. She owns her own daycare business,
Oh, mhm.
and she's been really successful. And she employs people, and I mean,
Yeah,
daycare is freaking expensive, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and she loves what she does now. Until COVID happened, she was
yeah,
real successful inside of it. But
mhm,
that's gonna, all these things starting to change, and
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, if you love to work with kids, I mean, you can have your own business, and you can be
mhm,
and and do things like that.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's letting, I guess, that guidance. How many kids do you have?
I have two.
So what about the
My,
other one?
I'm sorry.
What about the other one?
My son is actually he's just kind of plugging along right now. He's not
Uh-huh.
super happy with his job. He works in a factory and they do medical devices. So this was kind of just him uh, waiting to see what sort of a job he can get in his field later. He studied graphic design,
Mm,
and so he wanted to quit. And I was like, Steven, now's not really the best time for you to quit your job. This was about a month ago when
yeah,
everything was still locked down, and he had a job because his job is considered essential. But graphic design, not so much. So but he'll get there, and he's a little younger than she is. She's 23, she's 23, he's 22, so he's got a little time yet,
yeah,
before. And that's the thing. I mean, me personally, I did my schooling and then I started working, but it wasn't until about 5-6 years later before I was really like, okay, I can say I'm going to get through this, because I'd started building a little bit of a clientele. So I know it takes a kid a while to
yeah.
find
What kind of
groove.
graphic design does he do?
He just well, I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, he does art, like he did all sorts of things when he was in school, and he just likes to draw and he likes to design stuff. So
Okay.
so
Well,
we'll see.
I was going to share a suggestion you might give to him if he wants to walk down the entrepreneur path. There's something called Fiverr.com,
Hmm.
Fiverr or
Hmm.
Fiverr.com. And it's a marketplace where you can go on and people can hire designers. Basically any kind, like it's very niche, so it's like, I need a graphic designer for this, or I need a graphic designer for that, or I need someone to do a website, or I need someone to do voiceover, like for my podcast, the
Right.
voiceover. I paid someone $60 to do my voiceover,
Oh, wow.
and they have a platform where people just come to them, and then they
Hmm.
say, I need, a graphic design done for my logo, and then they'll just pay them right there. And it can do like very niche small stuff, or you can work into a huge project and really kind of build it out. And
Hmm.
the platform gives people, it gives a freelancer, the artist, um, uh, a whole platform where people just come to look for their services, and they don't have to build a huge clientele.
Mhm.
there, and then they show their work and stuff like that. So that might be
Right.
something for him to dabble in, and there's no commitment inside of it. You can turn yourself on and off as you please,
Oh,
accept people as you want,
yeah.
and you just sign up, and then they they do all the transactions, and then you just get money deposited in your account when you're done. you know
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell him about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there's a whole new world out there, as far as like freelance and like they call gig workers and stuff like that. And it gives people a chance without a whole lot of like huge investment, right? Because the
Uh-huh.
platform's there, they don't have to do much. They just sign up and show their work, and then
Mhm.
people come to them, and then you work out a deal, or they just pay right up front. And
Mhm.
everything starts off at $5, but it's kind of like anything else. Like that's kind of like the initial, so that's $5, kind of.
Right.
But it gives you and there's other platforms out there that do the same thing, and it's a great way to kind of jump in there and do things. So
Cool. Yeah,
um,
I'll have to suggest that to him.
yeah. So outside of your journey, what other what other thoughts can you share about your journey? I mean, because yours is pretty straightforward, and
Yep.
I consider you a lucky one. Not everybody,
Very.
like, not everybody is like that, has had that level of determination or clarity. What other things can you share that would be supportive of someone still seeking what they really want?
Um, I would say even if you can't necessarily make it like a first priority thing, if you do a little bit at a time,
Yeah,
then that's going to be helpful in working towards your goal. I mean, there's not really any way, like for me personally, or I guess my profession, like there is no dabbling. You either go to beauty school and get your license, and that opens up doors for you, or you don't. Like I've thought about, oh, it would be neat to take an art class because I would love to be an art teacher, but I don't know if I could actually get a job as an art teacher. But just taking like a painting class or something like that, I'd be like, oh, it just would, I guess, help fuel the fire. So if it was something that you could take a class or get involved in a meetup group or whatever, then that would be a good way to like little bits towards your goal.
couldn't you
So
just use people's hair as your palette?
do what?
Couldn't you just use people's
I
heads
guess
as
I mean, I do kind of. But I mean, and even, you know, like me, I started doing hair and I didn't realize there were other avenues that I could follow.
Mhm.
And there are, because I was actually an educator for two different hair color companies. So, number one, I like to do hair. Then, once I went to beauty school, oh, I like to color hair.
Mm.
Then, oh, you're going to get some training, and then you can teach other hairstylists how to better color hair.
Ah,
And so, yeah, so I've done that as well. I worked in a beauty school for a while, just as a regular instructor. And I mean that's something that you have to get licensed to do as well. You have to go and work in a school, like a junior instructor is what they call it, and then you can become an instructor in beauty school. Which that's I can see wanting to share your passion, like, be like, okay, I can help these kids.
yeah.
Or not everybody that goes to beauty school is a kid. There were several adults, like a lot older than me, when I was in beauty school, and I thought that was so neat because it's like, what a way to completely upside down your world, and going to school to do hair, and I always thought that was neat. So
Um, what are as far as like, can you describe that mm, that feeling you get? So when someone, and here's where I'm going with this, is that when someone's trying to figure out where they want to go, and they're locked up in their head, and they're like, but I got to do this, but their heart's kind of like, I really love to do this,
hmm.
and it's hard sometimes for an analytical type like myself to really want to, they want to do the analytical thing because it makes sense. there's
Mhm.
money, there's security there, right? Um, and where I find some of my own struggle is like, how do you know when your heart's telling you this is the right thing,
Mhm.
as opposed to like the thinking process?
I mean, I don't know. That's there are so few things in life that you can be
Hmm.
100%. And funny story, I guess. All the way growing up, like, I'm not going to be happy unless I'm married. I'm not going to be happy unless I'm married. And twice in my 20s, I was married, and later I was like, that really didn't work out the way I thought it was going to. But I'm glad I saw that, you know. But yeah, so it's funny how, I mean, you don't always know what's going to make you happy. You might think that this is what I want to do and this is great and everything like that. And then hopefully you try, and hopefully it does work out that that's what you want, but sometimes it doesn't. And I guess it's okay to give up on something that you thought was going to make you happy and you realize that it didn't. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to say, okay, I can't stay in this marriage, okay, I can't stay in this career. I tried, I gave it a good, I gave it the good try, but it didn't always work, so that's okay too.
Yeah. Kind of navigate that process
Yeah,
for yourself,
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I guess the clarifying question for me is like, what's it feel like to know you're, in the right spot?
I'd say happiness is one thing, but being content is another. Like, I'm content in and happy in my choice for what I decided to do, because I don't think, I mean, I do think about other things, but it's a rare fleeting thought.
Yeah.
And I've just been, content and happy. I'm not trying to do anything else. So yeah.
Do you find that most of your thoughts are, at least before, were just kind of centered around, okay, I think this would look great on this person, or I think, like when you were thinking about, or when you're going into it, like, because some, like, for me, naturally, I am thinking about personal development. I'm thinking about, how to help someone reach their goal. Like, that's just
Mhm.
where my brain goes to. And so that's how I ended up becoming a coach, because
Mhm.
I found myself like really trying to help others. And so it's just like where my mind naturally went to. Did
Mhm.
your mind naturally, like when you looked at someone, were you thinking about, oh my God, they would look great with a bowl cut, you know?
Um, I mean, yeah, I tend to look at people and go, "Oh, I could improve this," or "Oh, I could improve that." Um, but the funny thing is, when I tell people, "Your hair looks fantastic, don't change a thing," and they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a hairdresser. I'm telling you it's perfect." And so, I don't know. Yeah.
Did you find your mind was always going towards, styling?
It it sometimes, yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes it does. I mean, I I don't think about it in terms of funny, I guess. I don't think about it in terms of I'm just doing people's hair. Sometimes I think of I'm craving an interaction with someone,
Yeah.
and I can see something. I'm like, I see something you don't see. Let me work this so that you can see what I see. And um, it's funny because sometimes you have a vision and you believe in it, but other people are like, I don't know. And I had a client that actually texted me about 2 months ago, but maybe not even quite that long. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I haven't been able to get a haircut. Look at my hair." She sent me a picture, and her hair was long. And I told her it would be pretty if she grew it out, and she was like, "I don't know, I don't know, I don't know." And then she was forced to, and she's like, "You were right." I'm like, "Yes, thank you." She's like, "I like it." I'm like, "I kind of thought you would." So
You know what
yeah.
I hear is, I hear it's just really natural for you.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
what I discovered while I was in the RV journey when I met you is, um, I found out that my being with people and my being a people person, um,
Mhm.
was kind of like the natural thing, but it was so glued on my face I didn't notice it.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I see and hear through your story is like, it's just like, this is just who I am. There's
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
other choice. Like I cut hair because it's awesome and it's fun and I like it and I see it all the time and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where some people who get stuck, they don't, it's hard to, it's like trying to tell a fish, when two fish swim by each other and one goes, hey, how's the water? And the other one goes, what the F is water? What are you talking about? Like, you know,
Oh, that's funny.
and
Yeah.
so it's when you get to realize that, and I guess it's just some people's experiences in life rub them either the wrong way or they get pointed in the wrong direction, but they don't know where their own water is, so to speak.
Mhm.
You just happen to be in an environment where that was cultivated and appreciated and put you on your path, which is really awesome.
Mhm.
Um, so you get to be a really cool example of it. You know,
Thanks.
you find your happy spot pretty
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah.
Um, well, cool. I mean, we're kind of winding down here.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, any last words for anybody that want to share about yourself or share, just any last words of encouragement for someone trying to find their path?
Just I mean, just go for it. And I guess one thing that if you're going to try to be positive and try to just go for it is what's the worst that can happen? Someone can say no, don't make as much money as you thought you were going to, whatever. But it's like in the grand scheme of things, that's no big deal. I mean, you can always move on and choose another path and, cultivate another passion somewhere else. So,
Yeah, and it's pretty cool.
yep.
And it gives you, yeah, it is pretty cool when you get to that point and get to realize, and it's part of the process too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for
So,
sure. Yeah.
um, well, I was going to say where people can find you, but you're getting ready to get on the road and go to Washington, right?
I am. Yep. I'm gonna be in Northwest. I'm
Wow, awesome.
excited.
Um, well, Tanya, thank you very much for being on it,
You're
for sharing
welcome.
who you are and
Thank
sharing,
you.
um, uh, you know, just an example of really loving what you do.
Mhm. Yeah,
I
I
almost
do.
forgot the name of the show. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.